Imagine being just 10 years old and standing in front of millions of people, your future uncertain, your family struggling to make ends meet, and yet, having a voice so powerful it can move the hardest of hearts. This is the story of a young Filipino opera singer who did just that on Ireland's Got Talent, bringing none other than Simon Cowell, one of the toughest judges in the world, to tears. Born in a small province in the Philippines, this young girl grew up in a house that barely had enough to eat. Her parents worked multiple jobs just to keep the lights on and food on the table. Despite the hardships, music was everywhere in her home. Her mother would hum lullabies, her father would play small instruments, and she, even at the age of 3, would mimic the notes perfectly, astonishing everyone around her. By the time she was 6, her talent was undeniable. Friends and neighbors would gather just to hear her sing during local church events or small-town gatherings. But it wasn't just talent. It was her emotional connection to music that set her apart. Every note she sang carried the weight of her struggles, hopes, and dreams. Her journey to Ireland's Got Talent wasn't easy. Her family couldn't afford expensive music lessons or trips abroad. But she had determination, raw talent, and the support of her local community who believed in her. They started a small fundraiser just to get her to auditions overseas. It was a moment of hope in an otherwise challenging childhood. When she finally arrived at the audition stage in Dublin, the bright lights, roaring crowd, and the stern faces of the judges didn't faze her. She was small in stature but immense in talent. As the music started, she closed her eyes, and the voice that came out wasn't just singing, it was storytelling. Every high note, every crescendo carried the story of her life. The late nights, the hunger, the endless hope. Simon Cowell, known for being harsh and critical, watched quietly. His typical stern expression softened as the performance continued. By the time the final note hung in the air, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Judges were reaching for tissues, audience members were on their feet, and Simon himself couldn't hide his tears. For someone like him, who has seen countless performers, this was extraordinary. After the performance, Simon stood up and walked towards her. With tears in his eyes, he said words that no young performer ever forgets. "I have never seen a voice like yours, not at your age. You have something very, very special. The world needs to hear you. I promise, this is only the beginning." Her family, watching from backstage, were overwhelmed with emotion. Years of struggle, sacrifice, and hope had led to this very moment. The little girl who once sang in her small home in the Philippines now had the world at her feet. What followed was even more inspiring. The story of her audition went viral. People from all over the world were touched by her journey and her voice. Donations and opportunities began to pour in. Music schools, opera coaches, and even famous singers reached out to mentor her. But what truly stood out was her humility. Despite the newfound fame, she always credited her parents and her community for believing in her when no one else did. Her story reminds us that talent can bloom anywhere, even in the harshest conditions. It reminds us that perseverance, passion, and support from loved ones can break barriers and touch hearts worldwide. For a 10-year-old to bring someone like Simon Cowell to tears is not just a testament to her talent, but a reminder of the power of dreams. And the best part, this is just the beginning of her journey. As she continues to perform, record, and share her gift, she becomes a beacon of hope. For countless young children who dream big despite their circumstances, she shows the world that age, background, or financial struggles do not define your destiny. After that unforgettable audition on Ireland's Got Talent, her life changed almost overnight. But the journey wasn't just about applause or viral fame. Behind every tear of joy, every standing ovation, there were countless hours of practice, sacrifice, and unwavering determination. Back in her small home in the Philippines, life remained humble. Her parents continued to work tirelessly, often skipping meals themselves so she could afford music lessons or better vocal training. Every penny they could gather went toward her dreams, and they never complained. In fact, they were proud of her talent, proud of her courage, proud of the way she carried herself with dignity despite her young age. When she returned to Ireland for the next rounds, the pressure was immense. Audiences now expected brilliance, judges scrutinized every note, and the young singer had to carry the weight of a nation's hopes on her tiny shoulders. But she embraced it. Her performances became more than just singing. They were stories told through voice. She sang about love, loss, hope, and the struggles of everyday people. Each note resonated deeply, connecting with audiences in ways that words could not. Simon Cowell, who had become her quiet mentor, often spent hours with her backstage. He gave her advice on technique, performance, and stage presence, but more importantly, he gave her confidence. "Believe in yourself," he would say. "Your voice has the power to change lives. Never let anyone make you doubt that." And she did believe. Every time she stepped onto the stage, she carried not just her voice, but the dreams of her family, her community, and children everywhere who dared to dream big. One performance, in particular, would go down in talent show history. She sang a classic opera piece, her small frame barely visible against the enormous stage lights. But the moment she opened her mouth, it was as if the entire auditorium disappeared. The audience was silent, captivated by the purity, emotion, and power of her voice. Simon Cowell, normally so composed, could barely hold back tears. He covered his face, shook his head, and whispered to the other judges, "I've never heard anything like this in my entire life." By the end of the night, she had not only won over the judges but had also won the hearts of viewers worldwide. Clips of her performance went viral, shared across social media by millions, each person touched by her story and voice. Comments poured in from every corner of the globe. People were inspired, moved, and even brought to tears. But despite all this attention, the young singer remained humble. When asked in interviews how she felt about her sudden fame, she always said, "I just want to sing and make people happy. That's all I've ever wanted." Her story didn't stop with Ireland's Got Talent. Invitations to perform around the world began to come in. Opera houses, concert halls, and music festivals wanted to feature this extraordinary 10-year-old prodigy. And yet, she remained grounded. She returned home frequently, singing for her community, teaching other children, and reminding everyone that kindness, humility, and hard work were just as important as talent. Behind the scenes, there were challenges too. Traveling, performing in new countries, and keeping up with schoolwork was difficult for someone so young. She missed friends, simple childhood games, and sometimes felt overwhelmed. But her family and mentors always reminded her why she started and how far she had come. "Remember," her mother would say, "you carry not just your dreams, but ours too." And she never forgot that. Every note she sang was a dedication to her family, her community, and everyone who believed in her. Simon Cowell, now a lifelong supporter, often spoke about her in interviews. He described her as the most talented young singer I have ever seen in my life, and said, "Her voice isn't just beautiful, it's transformative. It makes people feel, it makes people hope, it makes people believe." For a man who had judged thousands of contestants, this was the highest praise imaginable. The impact of her performances reached far beyond the stage. Children who once thought they could never dream big began to pursue their passions. Communities rallied around local talents, inspired by her story. Even adults found hope in her determination, realizing that talent and perseverance could overcome even the toughest circumstances. As the finale of Ireland's Got Talent approached, the young singer performed yet another breathtaking piece. This time, it wasn't just about impressing the judges, it was about telling her story to the world. Every eye in the audience was glued to her, every heart beating in unison with her voice. When the final note faded, the applause was deafening. Judges were in tears, and Simon Cowell, unable to hold back, stood and clapped with genuine awe and emotion. Winning the competition was the culmination of years of struggle, hope, and unwavering dedication. But more than the trophy or fame, the real victory was the journey itself. A poor 10-year-old girl from the Philippines had shown the world that dreams have no limits. That no matter your background, your circumstances, or your age, talent combined with hard work and heart can move mountains. Today, she continues to sing, inspire, and touch lives. From small village stages to international opera houses, her journey reminds everyone that greatness can come from anywhere and that the most beautiful voices often emerge from the most unexpected places. She remains humble, grateful, and determined to use her gift to make the world a better, more compassionate place. This story teaches us all a simple but powerful lesson: never underestimate the power of dreams, courage, and determination. Because sometimes, a 10-year-old girl with a voice can make the impossible possible, touch hearts worldwide, and even bring Simon Cowell, the man known for his unshakable composure, to tears. And that's the story of a poor 10-year-old Filipino opera singer whose talent, courage, and heart captured the world's attention. Remember, the next time you feel small or insignificant, someone out there is proving that dreams don't have limits, and greatness can come from the most humble beginnings. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends.